And there's a big migration back to Chicago, I think, as people get older. And once you start having kids, mom and dad are in Chicago. And now you realize how important it is to have grandma and grandpa around to help out, because daycare is not a cheap thing. There are a ton of people moving back to the Midwest from Denver, just simply because of pricing, right? People are getting priced out, unfortunately. But if someone was moving back to Chicago or moving to Chicago from Denver, challenges, right? What are the challenges that they're going to face? And let's just assume it's a, move up sort of buyer situation, someone who's been through this situation before. What are they going to face in Chicago as far as the biggest challenges when looking for a house?
I think it's the biggest problem we all experience is there's no houses, everybody will tell you, right? Like literally no houses. And if you get into DuPage County, it's less than a month. If you get outside of DuPage, it's like a month and a half. So there was a point where we were like 3 weeks.
So a month and a half of inventory. We know what that means. But what does that mean for your layperson out there as far as the amount of inventory?
So basically, if every home sold and no new home came to the market, it would take 3 weeks to deplete supply.
Yeah.
So like nothing. And we're talking nothing. I mean, years ago, I paid $270 for my house. It's almost worth $400 now. In DuPage, if you wanted a 3-bed house under $300K, you might want to just move back to Denver, because it's impossible. There's just some of these communities are so expensive.
Yeah.
And even if they're not expensive, it's just tough to find certain things.
Yeah.
So the struggle that people have is finding houses. And I usually have a solution for that one. That's pretty easy. The other one is, I talked to people from Dallas, just talking to you a little bit ago, taxes. You have to account for property taxes. They're not Denver property taxes. People in Dallas think they have high taxes.
Yeah.
We have some high taxes. And I didn't know that relatively, right? Just what I grew up in.
Yeah.
But taxes for like a standard home here, you could be looking at $9,000 or $10,000.
Oh my gosh.
If you're in like a new construction, Oswego area, Yorkville area, you can end up at like $16,000 in some of these spots. It all depends on where you are and how big they are and size of lots. But like the cheapest taxes I know about are condos, and they're still like $4,000.
Wow. All right. To put that in reference, I know Cook County, Illinois, northern part of Chicago, right? I think Cook County includes Chicago proper, right? And then
Cook's all
parts of it north up to O'Hare Airport, all that stuff.
It's huge.
And the taxes there, I think, are the highest in the country, if I'm not mistaken. I think you're the top tick. It's either you or LA, I think. It's one of you guys.
I think LA's worse. Ironically, go ahead.
I was going to say, in comparison, so like all I knew was Denver. Like when I moved to Denver, I wasn't in real estate, right? 20 years ago. I got into the game about 15 years ago or so. Had no idea what it was when we went to go sell my mom's house. It was appraised at like $300,000 at the time, right? This is years ago, a handful of years ago. Her senior discount taxes in Cook County were like north of $6,000 a year. And I was like, what the heck is this? To give you some perspective, in Denver, we're at about 0.5% of the property's value. Now there's a bunch of, and a little less than that. So if you have a home that's worth $500,000, your property taxes here are probably about $2,200 a year.
Sign me up. I'll move now.
So when I have people moving out here from Chicago that might have had a house that sold at $400,000, let's say, like this was years ago, they could afford the same monthly payment up to about $600 to $650, just because of the difference in property taxes.
It makes a huge difference. We thought about moving actually recently.
Yeah, come on by. The water's warm, buddy.
We thought about Dallas because I keep seeing the TikTok and Instagram of all the brand new, amazing Dallas homes.
Oh, yeah.
And then Nashville, because my wife loves country music. And the problem is that we went to do Nashville 6-7 years ago before Nashville became what it is now. So $350,000 in Nashville, you could buy a really nice house.
Yeah.
Now I think the average price is like 600 plus.
Wow.
But their taxes are still low. So it's what offset do you want? Right?
Yeah, I know. Pick your poison, the devil you know versus the one you don't. So how do you work with people to get around some of these challenges? I know what we're doing here a little bit, but I'm having struggles with my lateral movers. And a lateral mover is someone, either kind of upsizing or downsizing, could be about the same price. And we're struggling because of the lack of inventory in making these moves. So what are you doing there to be creative to help people find stuff or to make the move, less painful?
So lateral movers, you're not going to move them. My whole neighborhood, I hang out with my neighbors, right? The kids all play together. They can't conceivably move from 3%
Yeah.
to 7%, right? So there's motivation, right? If they live in a big enough home for their family, they're not moving. The people
Yep.
that are typically moving here, sad to say, it's death, divorce, and force, right? Or really have the choice because they're doing okay.
Yeah.
But divorce is pretty common. You run into that a lot. People passing away. You have to sell typically the assets. I've experienced that in my life. Like we just couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
And anybody that's looking to move up or lateral move and they're like, hey, I'm okay with taking a higher payment here. My biggest strategy lately over the last year, because 23 and 24 almost seem like the same year to me, is finding things that are off market, right? And everybody says off market properties. I'm not talking PLN. I actually go out and prospect complete neighborhoods. So if you say, hey, I want a 4-bedroom house in this neighborhood, I will go prospect an entire neighborhood and find one.
Yep.
People are looking to sell. You just have to find them. And you got to get more creative than ever. The MLS is not the only place you're going to find a home anymore. And typically, if it hits the MLS, everybody's going to go get it now. So,
Yeah, totally. So just to let you folks know, I know what Jay is saying and I know how valuable it is, but to kind of lay that out, everything you're seeing online is not everything that's for sale, right? And Jay will literally go to that neighborhood. You're looking for that 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,000 square foot ranch with a basement, whatever it may be. And he will canvass the neighborhood to try to find you that sale. Now, we can look this information up, right? It's not easy as a consumer, but we have tools at our disposal where we can get an entire list of all the properties in that neighborhood that fit that need. And I don't hear of many agents doing stuff like that often, but why not? Why would an agent not do that for a client, Jay? Because that seems like the most ridiculously valuable thing ever.
it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Most people say, hey, there's no inventory. And I said, you know what's funny is look at the neighborhood. There's 300 homes. There's inventory. You just got to find it. And it sounds stupid. I get it. But my own neighbor, right, I called her talking to her about a food drive. And she's like, hey, I'm looking to sell. I know when she's going to sell. I know what she's going to sell for probably because I'm going to list it. I know what her house looks like. Right? Nobody knows where she's moving to. Nobody knows. I do, though. So I have a list of people that either can't move yet or based on certain situations, they're looking to move in a certain time frame. And I just have a database of them. And I touch base with them. Hey, you still thinking about selling? Hey, I got somebody. Somebody said, and their investors or people in general, the best homes are off-market homes, right? Once they come to the MLS, you all have the same shot. If I get them off the market, which is non-PLN, non-active, non-Redfin, Zillow, and all the sites you use. If I just have a list and I can connect you with the actual seller of the home, you're going to get a better deal typically, and you're going to have to compete with almost nobody.